Okay, so this will just be a quick tutorial on, I think, the easiest way to install Arch Linux. I'm basically setting it up on a home server via SSH, so this tutorial will assume you have SSH access. The tutorial should be basically the same though, regardless of whether or not you're just installing it for desktop use or in like a server format, I guess. The Arch Wiki here has good instructions on how to actually put Arch on a USB and boot into it and everything. And also that's going to vary a bit depending on your computer as well. Once you've done all that, this is, I believe, the easiest way to install Arch. Alright, so this tutorial will assume that you already are SSH'd into your Arch machine, but after you figure out how to do that, which it's not that hard because the SSH server is up and running, it's basically only one command to install Arch Linux now, and that is archinstall. So if I type in archinstall, it'll basically put us through a guided walkthrough on how to set up the Arch system, and it's quite simple actually. It might take a minute to load everything in, so I'll just fast forward through this part real quick. So now that it's running, you'll see we're greeted with this installer here. We select a language. I speak English, so that's fine. Locale, that basically selects your location, so like the keyboard you're going to use and stuff. Mirrors and repositories are basically the servers you're actually going to download stuff from. So I recommend selecting a region and just picking your region from the list. So I'll just scroll down to United States here. I think I saw it. Yeah, there it is. And yeah, these are just all the mirrors in the United States for Arch Linux. You can also add optional and custom repositories here too. Next here is disk configuration. Scroll past it. And then we partition our disk here. So usually best effort does a good job, but if you want to do manual partitioning, if you want like encryption or something, that might be better, or if you wanted multiple partitions for whatever reason. But I think I'll just use best effort because that generally does pretty well. Yeah, this 1 TB drive is the one I want to install on. And then I'll select ext4, but if you want to use BetterFS or something, that'd be good too. I'll hit no on the home folder thing here. That doesn't really matter. You can also set up LVM or disk encryption here if you like. I'm not going to bother with disk encryption because I'm going to basically treat this like a home server, but this is where you'd set up that option if you wanted it. Next you'd set up swap here if you wanted, but I'm going to skip that because the server has a lot of RAM. And then the bootloader is next. So for the bootloader, the default systemd, but grub's usually the best bootloader in my opinion. For this install to a removable location bit, the default's almost always fine. It just has to do with how grub talks to your firmware. It's configured automatically to support the most amount of stuff basically. Kernels allows us to basically select the kernel we want. So I'll go into that. You can choose like Linux, like Zen kernels or whatever. You can choose a hardened kernel. I'm just gonna keep it on Linux. Hostname, basically you choose the name of your system you want on the network. I guess I'll change that real quick just to show it. I don't know, I'll call it Mike, I think. Just the name of the computer from The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. Next here is authentication. So basically we select our root password here. I'll just type in my root password real quick. Yeah, and then you type it in again to confirm your root password, and then you can set up your user account. I'll add an admin user. Normally make my username like Deltron or something. Next we type in our user's password, and a user with root access will actually be able to use their own password to do root stuff, so they don't necessarily need to know the actual root password. Profile is just for when you want to use a pre-configured install. Basically if we click on and go to type, we'll see a bunch of different pre-configured options. So there's like desktop, minimal, server, Xorg or whatever. And after I hit desktop, I see a bunch of options for programs that I can pre-install in the system, so just different desktop environments or whatever. if I select Cinnamon as an example here, you'll see all the programs it comes with. And if I go to graphics drivers, I can select a graphic driver I want. Let's go with AMD open source, I suppose. And that basically allows you to just choose your desktop environment and login manager and everything. I'll just go and select a few other things I want to install here, and then I'll just jump ahead to the next step. Alright, next is applications. So basically, if there's anything you missed in the pre-configured profiles, you could just look for them and install them here. So I guess I'll probably want audio. I'll get Pulse Audio, just because I know it works. I don't really care about print services or power management for this computer, so I'm going to just skip those. Just back. And then next is network configuration. I'll probably just go with the default backend from Network Manager. And then additional packages here is any packages you know that you want to go and grab specifically. So this is just a list here of all the packages in the default Arch repository, and you can go around and just pick whatever you want. I usually like to grab Vim or whatever my favorite text editor is, and maybe a couple other things. But yeah, I'll skip ahead to the next step. So then after you go and grab all your additional packages, you can go to time zone, and you just set your time zone on US Central, I believe. So that is, yeah, US Central. Then after you set your time zone, I usually like to do automatic time sync. So I'll just make sure if your computer gets the wrong time or something, it'll automatically sync up sometimes. And you can save the configuration actually to a profile. So if you want to, you can actually make your own profiles or whatever, and actually install them as a profile in the archinstall command for later. I'm not going to do that, but as an option. And without further ado, I suppose we'll just install, then I'll hit yes on the configuration. And this will take a while, so I'm going to fast forward significantly. Okay, I had a couple failed attempts there just because my internet was bad, but now the installation is done, and we can just reboot the system. So, port closed now. I'll just give it a minute and then log back in here. Alright, I gave it a while, so now I'll just SSH back in, Deltron at the IP address, and that's my username actually that I made, so we'll see if this works. Yes. And then just type in my user's password. And yeah, okay, so we install the Arch Linux over SSH using the archinstall command. So now that it's installed, we'll probably want to install Yay just so we have access to the AUR. So before we do that, we should probably update. So sudo pacman-syu, and I'll just skip ahead while this updates. So now that it's updated and everything, we're good to start the Yay install. So the way it works is we're going to actually have to clone a repository and basically build it from source. So to do that, just git clone this URL, and that'll basically clone Yay from archlinux.org. And then we'll want to cd into it, and there's this package build. And to actually build it, we'll want to use the command make pkg-si. Oh, yeah, that's the wrong command. We'll have to, it's make pkg all one word -si, and that'll basically build Yay from source according to the instructions in package build. So this might take a while, but I'll just skip ahead. Oh yeah. You'll also need to type in a password here. And after that, it's just proceed with the installation. You hit yes. Yeah. There are probably one or two other times you need to press yes, but that's essentially how you install Yay. So I'll just skip ahead past the package build itself because it just takes a while. And that is how you install Yay, which is basically how you access the AUR. And you can use it just like Pacman, except it pulls stuff from the AUR. Okay, so there's one more thing that I think needs to be done before you can call the installation truly complete. and that would be getting multi-lib packages to work. So to do that, all you need to do is cd into slash etsy slash pacman.conf. Oh, wait, sorry, not cd, it's a text file, so need to edit that. And I already uncommented this, but the way this comes is you'll see like comments in front of this, so you'll want to just uncomment these, and that'll basically make it so Pacman can install multi-lib things. It basically allows you to install 32-bit applications on your 64-bit system, and that's useful because some stuff like Steam, I think, is 32-bit, and there's a lot of other common packages that you might run into that are 32-bit. And that is, I believe, the easiest way to install Arch Linux. I hope someone found this helpful, and thanks for watching.